The sirens blared beyond the glass walls of the lab, a cacophony of urgency that rattled my bones. I stared at the holographic display hovering inches above my workbench, numbers spiraling into chaos, pixels flashing red as they pointed to a catastrophic energy spike in the nanite array. The Omega protocol was at 0 hour, and if I could not stabilize the system in the next few minutes, this entire facility, and everyone inside it, could become a testament to humanity's hubris. Dr. Cade, get the containment shields up. Aiden's voice sliced through the din, frantic yet grounded amidst the noise. I glanced up to see him rushing towards me, eyes wide with panic, his lab coat flaring behind him like a white cape. My stomach lurched at the sight of him, and it wasn't just the anxiousness that clawed at my insides. Aiden and I were on borrowed time, torn between the lines of love and obligation, passion and survival. The thought of losing him in this chaos made my heart pound harder than the drums of war echoed in my memory. "I'm trying," I shouted back, panic seeping into my words. My fingers danced over the controls like they had a mind of their own, ignoring the escalation of alarms as I fought to push back the impending doom. But these readings don't make sense. It's like it's alive. His lips pressed into a thin line, a mix of frustration and fear. This isn't the time to get poetic. We need to make sure the nanites don't reach critical mass. Our gazes locked for a heartbeat longer than necessary, laden with unsaid emotions. Every moment felt like an eternity, each second stretching taut, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Beyond the steel walls, the corridor swarmed with panic as scientists in lab coats, filled with the wild enthusiasm reflective of the dawn of a new era, scattered like leaves caught in the wind. They were the architects of tomorrow, idealists who believed they could rewrite human existence. Little did they know what lay before them. With a final keystroke, I rerouted the excess energy to a secondary battery designed for downtimes just like this. But it wouldn't hold for long. The hologram flickered and the numbers slowed, pulling me into a moment of false hope, and yet my heart knew better. We were dancing on the edge of annihilation. This might actually work, I breathed, though deep down I knew it wasn't enough. The nanite array was temperamental at the best of times, intended to impart immortality through the replication of human cells, fixing what nature had originally deemed unfixable. But in the hands of a desperate scientist and a world teetering on the brink of revolution, it had become something unpredictable, something terrifying. Did you hear that? Something's beneath us. Aiden's voice cut through my thoughts again, drawing my gaze to the floor beneath our feet. I could feel it, a tremor, a low rumble that seemed to resonate from deep within the earth. Maybe it was the collapsing power grid, or the strain of the laboratory attempting to contain forces meant for gods. Whatever it was, it heralded doom. I stumbled backward, instinct overcoming pragmatism, and Aiden caught my arm. "We need to evacuate," he urged, but even as he voiced it, my mind raced ahead, processing everything we had sacrificed to give humanity the chance at eternal life. Was it worth it? If this was the end, would anyone truly care about the cost of our ambition? No, I snapped, shaking off his grip. Aiden's shocked expression stung, echoing the fracture forming in our bond. "We can't let everything we've worked for go to waste." He stepped back as if I had physically struck him, and we stood there locked in a standoff, surrounded by the chaos threatening to engulf us. I glanced back at the monitors, light flaring almost blindingly, my mouth turning dry as I tried to push the fetid blow of despair away. "We finish this, together. One last push, then we can get everyone out." His eyes softened. "You can't save them all, Val. You have to choose. You can't lose yourself, lose us. This isn't who we are." The ground rippled again, and another alarm howled, drowning out his words. There was no time to debate morality, just the desire to latch onto hope, despite the fraying bond tethered to my heart. My fingers thrummed over the console, desperation morphing into resolve. I refused to let the laughter of 1,000 bright souls fade into silence today. Aiden stepped forward, his hand brushing my arm, grounding me amidst the chaos. "Fine. One last push." But promise me when this is over we'll leave it all behind. Together, there, we stood in the eye of the storm, lust for life coursing through our veins, determination laced with fear. I nodded, though my heart wrestled with the weight of unspoken promises. Seconds ticked away, and all around us, the fragile balance of existence quivered on the precipice of immortality or obliteration. With one final surge of adrenaline, I dove into the labyrinth of calculations and adjustments. The nanite array flickered, zipping and sparkling as the hum of life grew louder, almost like a symphony heralding a new dawn. Lines of code morphed and shifted, the tapestry of biology and advanced technology intertwined delicately on the brink of something monumental. Just as the pulses stabilized, the tremors intensified, and a deafening roar resonated through the facility. The ground shook violently, pelting us with modular debris crashing to the floor. Aiden grabbed me, and we fell together, the world slipping away beneath our feet. And then, in that chaotic moment, I heard it, a whisper carried on the edge of silence, an echo from the future that hinted at everything we were about to become. The very essence of humanity was about to change, forever altered by the decisions we made in our reckless pursuit of eternity. In that instant, amidst the chaos, hope ignited in my chest, warm and bright as we stared into the abyss of our creation. I could sense it. The day humanity became immortal was upon us, and we would either rise or fall together. Fallout from the explosion rippled like a shockwave, tearing through the facility, ripping apart the fabric of everything we had built. Aiden and I hit the ground just as the lights flickered and then died, leaving us in a profound darkness, punctuated only by the glowing embers of the nanite array's last gasp. The silence was suffocating, a heavy shroud that settled over us like a blanket, weighing down my lungs. I reached for Aiden, the familiar warmth of his hand a reminder that we were still connected, still in this together. "Val, are you all right?" His voice was raspy, strained from the chaos that had just unfolded, and I could hear his concern slicing through the eerie stillness. My heart raced, torn between relief that we had survived and dread over what lay outside this darkness. I think so. I squeezed his hand tightly, drawing comfort from his presence. But we need to move now. Every instinct screamed that time was running out. There had to be a contingency plan for a disaster like this. A low hum reverberated through the air, a sound that coursed through my body, and suddenly the emergency lights flickered to life, bathing the chaos in an ominous red glow. I pulled Aiden to his feet, the urgency palpable, a wild adrenaline coursing through us both. "Where do we go?" he asked, surveying the damage around us. The one sterile lab was now strewn with shattered glass and fallen monitors. Warning signals blared sporadically, emphasizing the fragility of our situation. Panic threatened to envelop me, but I knew we had to find a way to communicate with the others. "The control room," I shouted above the din, a name I had recited dozens of times in the throes of our research. It was the nerve center of the facility, a space designed with redundancy in mind. If any trace of our oversight remained, it would be there. Together, we dashed through the wreckage, maneuvering through the debris like worn ghosts clinging to the last threads of existence. We reached the control room doors double, locked and sealed tight. I cursed under my breath, frustrated by the sheer level of security we had put in place. "There's no time," Aiden exclaimed, assessing the parameters. "Just break it open." I hesitated for barely a moment, then slammed my shoulder against the smooth metal panel. The door crumbled beneath us with a resounding crash, sending sparks flying as it fell inward. Inside, fire. Streaked monitors blinked erratically, casting errant reflections that ushered in feelings of paranoia. A massive console dominated the room. Its surface was a blend of sleek chrome and cracked glass. I hurried to the primary interface, panic curling in my chest as I realized the keyboard was fried, smoke rising from where wires were exposed. "Aiden, cover me," I said, frantically tapping the screen, searching for an alternative access point. The array had generated a feedback loop after the blast, no doubt scrambled by the shockwaves. I had to counter it, had to restore some semblance of order if we were going to get a signal out. There was a moment of desperate silence, and then the flickering lights began to stabilize under my fingers, slowly revealing the chaos of our organization's operational schematics. "I'm in," I yelled, though the words felt weak against the surrounding turmoil. "I'll try to send an emergency broadcast." Aiden kneeled beside me, glancing quickly at the screens. "I see multiple life signs in Sector C, about to go offline." I interjected as the system surged again, and I lost connection momentarily. "We're running out of time." "I have to bypass the core. Val, there's no time for questions." I shot back, fear charging the air between us. "Stop trying to save everyone. We need to save ourselves first. This isn't just about us." He gripped my arm, whispering fiercely but with a tenderness that cut through my fear. "If we save the system and harness what's left of the nanite array before it destabilizes entirely, we could save them all. We owe them that." His words sank in, thawing the ice that had hardened around my heart. "Fine," I relented, redirecting commands as I frantically searched for a solution that blended both urgency and purpose. "But if we're doing this, we do it together." The sounds around us morphed. Faint echoes of voices wafted through the air from behind, resonating with life. "We're not alone," Aiden exclaimed, eyebrows shooting up with a mix of hope and disbelief. "No, I don't think so." I powered the console, manipulating energy flows. On the unexpected monitor, I saw glimpses of motion, bursts of activity beneath the facility, where the outer wards had experienced less seismic disruption compared to the central hub. It's a rescue team. We can get the distress call out." The thrill surged through our veins again despite the darkness lurking at the edges. It was both a triumph and a curse, a reminder that the choices we made were not just ours. They affected lives beyond our comprehension. I fed data into the system, fingers dancing across the synth, keys in a rhythm that reverberated with necessity as the signal pulsed through the room. "Yes," I shouted, pumping my fists in the air as lights flickered above us in acknowledgement of success. The control room responded to our commands, feeding our desperate desires back into the sprawling network we had created. Just then, the door behind us creaked open, revealing a new figure emerging from the shadows, backlit by the smoldering glow of the facility's emergency lights. "Is anyone alive in here?" The voice was gruff, commanding, yet tinged with concern. I turned and found myself staring into the eyes of Director Elise Harrington, our once fearless leader now battered and bruised from the chaos. A moment of relief pooled in my chest, only to be shadowed by a stark realization. Worry clouded her expression as she took in the remnants of the control room and the work we had done against the odds. "What happened? What is going on here?" she demanded. "The array is destabilizing, but we're sending a distress signal." Aiden interjected before I could respond, pulling Elise into the whirlwind of information. "There are workers trapped in the lower sectors, and they're alive." I asked incredulously, feeling my heart race. "We thought, yes, but it's bad. We need to get in contact with them before they lose power." She stomped toward the consoles, eyes flickering between screens and blinking lights. "If we can't get them out," she trailed off but didn't need to finish the sentence. "We will," Aiden said firmly. "We can't let our work die here." Elise's gaze sharpened, and a glimmer of camaraderie passed between the three of us as I recalled the struggle that had bound us through sleepless nights and ceaseless doubts. In that moment, a new resolve formed. Bonds forged in our shared trials brought us together, a family of sorts built on kernels of hope among the ashes. "There's a way to reroute energy from Sector C," Elise said, her voice rousing determination. "If we can stabilize our output, we can boost our signal strength back to them." "Let's do it then," I replied, echoing the energy coursing through us as a collective. As we worked side by side, I didn't resist the touch that ignited between Aiden and me again. A warmth that traveled from our fingers, affirming our commitment to each other and to those out there, battling for the light in darkness. The nanites were now our brandishing swords in a fight for survival. once tools designed for eternalism, now instruments of salvation. And though chaos loomed all around us, the glimmer of a solution shone brighter than the fears that pressed in from the edges. But as the sound of voices echoed closer, more than just hope rose within us. New uncertainties trailed behind them, manifesting the deeper questions lurking in the recesses of my mind. What riddle of destiny had we unleashed? What lay hidden beyond the threshold of our ambition? Time swelled around me, every moment a tapestry of separate threads woven together, a prelude hinting that the true nature of the conflict awaited just beyond the horizon we had yet to conquer. And as we prepared to reconnect with the world outside, shadows danced, ever hungry, whispering secrets from a darkened past. The fight for survival had only just begun, and within the depths of our shelter nestled the truths we had left unexamined. Holding on to each other amidst the storm, we pressed forward, clawing for the chance to redefine our legacy together. The emergency lights cast erratic shadows across the control room as we worked frantically to reroute energy from Sector C. The tension hung in the air like a heavy mist, thick with uncertainty and urgency. Aiden, Elise, and I shared a singular focus: save the trapped team, restore order, and ensure our research survived. But as I glanced at Aiden, a flicker of doubt crossed his face, mingling with determination. "What if we're too late?" he whispered, the gravity of our situation settling heavily on his shoulders. I shook my head, unwilling to entertain such thoughts. "We can't think like that. Stay with me, Aiden. We need to power the emergency relay, one step at a time." He nodded, but the tension in his jaw remained taut. Elise moved swiftly, fingers dancing over the scorched keys of the console. "We need to amplify the signal. If we can get a solid connection to the team below, we can guide them out. The last thing they know is that the system failed. We cannot let them lose hope." The moments dragged as I turned back to the monitor, fast comprehension flashing through me. I pulled up a schematic map of the facility, showing compromised areas. The main power grid is still functional to a degree, but we may be running on borrowed time. Any further disruption could bring the entire building down. I hesitated, formulating my thoughts, then fixed both Aiden and Elise with a hard look. "We'll need to split up. I can boost the relay while you two guide the team. We can't risk missing the window to get them out." Aiden's expression shifted to one of alarm. "You can't be serious. The Nan. Ray, it's unstable. You'll be in danger if it blows." "I'll be quick," I argued, frustration bubbling beneath my surface. "If I don't stabilize the relay, we'll lose our only chance to communicate with them entirely. We'll be sitting ducks." Elise stepped in before Aiden could voice any further protest. "She is right. We can't risk everyone being lost because of inaction. We'll be the eyes in the sky." I could see Aiden's resolve fracture momentarily with concern, and I grabbed his arm before he could retreat into helplessness. "Find my brother, Aiden. He'll be in that sector. Bring him home." The resolve in my voice carried the weight of necessity that propelled him forward, forcing his fear to bend to determination. "All right, we'll split up," he relented, voice tight. He turned to Elise, and the unspoken command passed between them. This was the moment to act. As I adjusted the wires snaking across my workstation, I felt the hum of energy coursing through me, an electric familiarity that urged me forward. "I'll let you know when I'm ready. Keep the comms open, and remember every second counts." With Aiden and Elise plunging into the chaos of the corridors beyond, I prepared myself for the task ahead. Alone now, the stillness felt almost deafening. I took a breath as I connected the emergency relay, feeling the weight of the world settle on my shoulders. It was now or never. I pressed a sequence of keys, feeding raw data into the system. The nanite array's readings fluctuated wildly, and hacker's instinct kicked in, navigating through the chaotic streams. Monitors blinked prophetically, giving rise to premonitions that danced in my mind. Suddenly, I stumbled upon a constellation of points I had not noticed before, a hidden destabilization pattern forming in their wake. My pulse quickened. This wasn't random, it felt almost intentional. Just as I grappled with the implications, The overhead lights flickered dangerously. I spared a glance around the room, anxious, yet focused on the task at hand. My body reacted instinctively, pushing ahead despite the quelling voice, whispering warnings of caution. Come on, I chanted under my breath as I bridged connections and formulated countermeasures, the sanctity of survival overtaking impulse. Data streamed across the screen in a web that screamed for clarity. Then, the feed grew clearer. I hitched a breath at the sound of Aiden's voice crackling through the radio transceiver. "Val, come in, I'm here," I shouted, urgency bolstering every syllable. "What's your status? We've entered Sector C and are trying to locate your brother. There's so much destruction. I don't know how much time we have before the entire level deteriorates." Each word struck me like a pulse of panic through the adrenaline flooding my veins. "You have to move faster. I'm opening a way to the control lines for you. Follow the modifications I'm streaming to your comms." "Understood," he replied, yet a razor thin edge of anxiety underscored the words. The radio crackled before diving back into a warning silence, the dying remnants of the lab echoing our fears with increasingly violent shakes. As I focused back on my workstation, everything shifted violently. The air shifted. A blast of pressure knocked me off balance and sprawling to the ground. Panels burst around me, and the alarms shrieked louder as emergency overrides scrambled across the system. "No," I shouted, scrambling back to my feet. I rallied my wits even as the walls groaned around me. Desperation clawed at my throat. The simulation of energy fluctuations had taken a turn for the worse. If the nanite matrix reached critical mass, it would wipe out everything we had built, shattering precious lives in the process. I had to hold it together. Rubbing the dirt from my palms, I instructed the system to prioritize another route for power distribution when a thought struck me. The nanite array had been designed with contingencies. It was a safe mechanism against gross malfunctions. The knowledge sparked something deep in the back of my mind, a possibility I could claw back from topic veering toward total oblivion. "Oh, Val, we're back in." Aiden's voice rang out with fresh urgency. "We see your signal, but we have to move now. The structure is collapsing. We can get them out." I cut him off, a plan forming rapidly, no more hesitation. "Aiden, listen, continue following my updates on the emergency relay. Disconnect the energy protocol on the array and transfer it to the backup systems. It's our only move to restabilize while maintaining viability. Are you sure?" His skeptical tone made my pulse quicken anew. "Trust me," I set about adjusting parameters, fingers dancing over the keys again as I peeled open the route to the auxiliary backups designed for catastrophic failure. "We'll reroute the power surge. When the main chaos begins, it will buy us time. On it." I could hear the determination echoing in his movements, even across the thinning static. "We're going to get your brother out together." The strike of metal against metal echoed sharply, ricocheting through the static as I felt my heart hammering. I surged into my task with ferocity, knowing that we were threading needles, each connection entwined with risk. Suddenly, alarms blared through the control room as another tremor rippled through the ground. Glancing up, I saw the walls quaking, my workstation vibrating. I sensed we were running against the clock even as sparks flew toward me. Each tick brought us closer to chaos. Connected as we were, every motion began to blur in a dance between operation and survival. "Val," Aiden yelled, desperation cracking through the static. "We don't have much time. I've got the route figured out, but the structure won't last much longer. We need to move before." The lights flickered dramatically, the shadows thickening as the ground rocked again with tremors so palpable. They thundered through my bones. "Do it. Get everyone to the rendezvous." I rallied, sending every ounce of energy into the operation without faltering. I'm moving ahead with stabilization, with fingers dancing like wild flames over the console. I launched my final commands, a swirling momentum boiling with urgency. It was now or never. Power surged through the tubes as the relay flickered, sending waves of energy flowing, hope lighting the darkness. A rush of exhilaration filled my lungs as I toggled switches. The relays activated. Do you see that? The green light. It's working. Aiden called back, excitement breaking the tension. Yes, we can hear you, but there's debris, we have to hurry. It's on top of us. My heart dropped. Would we be able to reach them in time? Val, can you send us coordinates? We're approaching the east end, and I think we can route through the back hall. My fingers flew across the console as I sent the calculated pathways, securing our connections against the crumbling edifice of our creation. Below us lay the uncertainty of our leadership, our ambition reflected in the shadows of our choices. It was all laid bare now. Just keep moving. I can see you on the screen almost there. My heart sang despite the fear clawing at my insides. Drawn toward possibility, I felt the pressure of destiny press upon us. You're so close, then silence. It was a terrifying vacuum, as if the world had held its breath in anticipation. Aiden, my voice quavered, feeling the plunge into uncertainty. What's the status? With gritted determination, he let the line settle, then his voice broke through. A crystalline note amidst the darkness. We're trapped, Valerie. We're trying to move the debris. I need you. I need your voice on the Assumption controls. The words broke through me like shards of glass, slicing through adrenaline. We were vulnerable. This wasn't just about science anymore, not about mortality. It was a bitter reminder that our flight was tethered to chaos. I felt desperation rise like bile in my throat. Just hold on. I'm rerouting power to our area. I shouted, rage igniting my senses as I re-engaged processes, channeling energy into their salvation. Just hold your breath, we're coming. His voice trembled, then faded, leaving behind only static. Panic welled once more. My pulse raced, each heartbeat a countdown. My mind spun, shaken as reality lingered momentarily beyond the echoes of hope. I pressed on, fingers racing, mind kept swimming in a frantic array of calculations. The walls shook again, whispers filtered through, icy fingers of doubt coiling around my spine. Could I do this? In the eye of uncertainty, I had made promises. I couldn't afford to let anxiety swell, twisting my resolve like a vice. At last, the moment culminated. I completed the last calculation with gritted teeth, triggering the relay just as the ground convulsed again. A flash of light filled the chamber. A violent quake seized power instantaneously, locking the facility in an electric grip. Val, Aiden's voice broke in painfully, resounding. Where underground there's a tunnel. We're almost then. A wrenching roar surged through the air. A cacophony of destruction as the world splintered into a million shards around us. I screamed, a raw sound of terror breaking free as the ceiling above me fractured, raining chaos down upon us. Get out, get out. I shouted into the comms, urgency coloring my voice hot like fire. As debris rained down, a haze enveloped my consciousness. I felt the weight of everything we had fought for claw at my heart. Our choice to bet on immortality, the lives hinging on our decisions. Was it truly our doing? Was this aberration about to consume everything? And there, amidst the pandemonium, I grasped the crux of everything we'd unearthed. We had ignited something powerful, vulnerable, and real. With every ounce of strength I could channel, I propelled myself forward through the layers of noise and confusion, knowing hope had to bleed through despair. Aiden, the scream echoed in my mind and something ignited. We will not lose this fight. The final echoes of hope surged and vaporized around me, hands reaching out through the chaotic birth of shadows, the connection that bound us beyond mortality, the promise laced in everything I had known. I was a flicker in the tempest of it all, and I would fight for every breath, every heartbeat that echoed through that darkness. The world dimmed, yet I felt the warmth of light swell in my chest. But together, we faced this together, and just before consciousness slipped, I felt the specter of all that had transpired whisper to me, an echo of fate, the universe aligning with threads already sewn deep into existence. If I was to shape the future, it would be ours, our humanity, our legacy. We'd rise from this transformative yet resolute, and we would learn, dear God, how to be more than what was built. You and I, empires forged in trust together. And in that moment, buried deep beneath the rubble of choice, I would grasp at shadows, nurturing new beginnings. I would not let go. Light clawed through blackness, flickering like a newborn star as awareness bled into my thoughts. My body ached, sensing pressure where the world had once felt endless. It took a moment to gather my bearings, the violent memories fading into the haze. Val, are you awake?" Aiden's voice echoed into my consciousness, a lifeline drawing me towards the surface. "Just give me a moment," I rasped, pushing against the weight of despair. My muscles screamed as I forced my eyes open, blinking against the glowing remnants of the control room. The devastation extended like a graveyard, shadows flickering amidst the chaotically scattered debris. "Good to have you back," Elise offered gratefully, her hands already busy adjusting a fallen beam that seemed a weight on my life. "But what about the team?" My throat burned as I pushed forward, even as the weight of panic crashed against me. "Still working on it," she replied, anxiety tightening the lines along her temples. "Power's gone haywire, but we have a new transmission coming through." I took a breath, trying to piece together the flickering echoes that reverberated against my skull. "Aiden, where are you?" Still underground, he called through the static, his voice punctuated by determination. "We've found the survivors, but the tunnel is collapsing. We need a way out. You've got to be kidding," I exclaimed, adrenaline flooding through my veins again. "Can you reroute back to the main supply? Switch the energy back on? We're trying, but the backup systems are failing." His voice wavered, and I could feel the weight of fear settling in. "Val, we're down to minutes." Then, through sheer instinct, things sharpened. "Listen to me. Send out auxiliary signals from your suits and match our comms." I retuned our settings, forcing clarity through the din. "We're close enough to get a lock, but you have to hold out on the comms. Stay connected." "I can do that," Aiden affirmed, determination gleaming anew. Every moment felt balanced on the precipice. Maintaining connection was holding worlds together. Elise worked beside me, noting my flow as I synchronized updated readings with the incoming data from Aiden. Together, we wove a fragile thread, pulling at dying embers of energy until a flicker of warmth ignited. "Now, activate the relay." "I'm activating it," he replied, an urgency brightened by desperation. The energy pulsed through the air like the beat of a heart. The facility buzzed with life as I struggled to maintain control, feeling the collective sways of pressure balance. Then the voice returned spine, filled with fire. "Well, we're structurally compromised, moving fast." He radiated the resonance of hope that flourished in uncertainty. I tuned in closer, keeping at the edges of understanding as the echoing sounds of chaos enveloped him. "Aiden," I screamed, racing against destiny's unfolding tapestry. "Almost there," he shouted back, urgency overtaking him. The lines surrounding us, our connection, our struggle, merged into one as vibrations surged through the air, carrying out the desperation of human voices echoing with life itself. At last, communication flowed through the waves, burrowing deeper into the unknown. Energy melding, stitching insecurities with threads of unwavering resolve. And as we clasped hands across the boundaries of chaos, I felt the magnitude of our creation. It was hope reborn, echoing beyond the fracture of our world. Each heartbeat amplified through the layers of sound and silence. As the moment culminated, I felt an exhilarating rush of connection, a sense of purpose overriding panic. Facing the unknown was raw, but amid uncertainty lay an infinite heart, a flame igniting in shared determination. And as the last flicker danced like a candle in the night, I knew we would navigate the darkness. Together, we would rise anew, bridging the chasms left behind, cradling the flickers of existence against the threshold of storms. Always, but especially now together. As the lights flickered back to life, bathing the broken control room in an almost serene glow, I took a steadying breath. Every pulse of energy in the facility felt like a heartbeat, throbbing with life still contained within its steel and glass bones. We were still standing against the tide of chaos together, at least for now. Aiden's voice returned through the comms, steady but laced with apprehension, his presence sparking urgency within me. Val, the tunnel is collapsing faster than expected. We can't hold the survivors in position much longer. Redirect all power towards sustaining your suits, I urged, fingers flying across the console. My heart raced as I pieced together the possibility of salvation. The auxiliary systems are now linked to your beacon. Push for the emergency exit. They can extract themselves if we keep the path clear. You have seconds, Aiden. Understood. His reply snapped through my deliberations with newfound resolve. I could practically hear his determination rippling through the airwaves. We're moving now. As I leaned into the console, a new surge coursed through. The data racks began to illuminate as I recalibrated the energy sails. My mind worked to weave together the scattered fragments of our network, threads of existence that fluttered and pulsed in rhythm to our fight for survival. Remember the route, Aiden. Step left, then right. You'll bypass the obstruction before the room collapses. The tension wrapped around my mind as I focused on the flickering screens. The revived console glowed, feeding me data streams clustering from our automated alerts, but a knot of fear twisted in my stomach. Would it be enough? Then came the noise, a distant roar that felt like thunder rumbling deep within the belly of the facility. Val, the main structural supports are buckling. Elise called, urgency strong. She guided me through a cascade of the controls, waves crashing against the fortress of understanding we had so carefully constructed. We need to increase the stabilization of the core, give Aiden enough time to get to the extraction point. Sensing the impending disaster at our heels pushed me forward. I initiated a rapid sequence, flooding the internal currents with energy to brace the lines. I'm channeling everything. The core, keep it stable. The console flickered as the vibrations intensified, and I could feel the walls shake, the trembling anticipation growing. Amid the chaos, a thin line of connection wrapped around Aiden and me. We'll make it, Val. His voice rang with iron the way it used to do when we wove dreams into reality, hope drenching our resolve, filling us up like the vessels of a new dawn. It was a reminder we were part of something larger now, an enduring web of humanity and discovery that had the power to transcend even cataclysm. Beside me, Elise worked furiously, our movements synchronized, her competence fusing with my final push against the destruction. We were locked in that moment in overlapping fears and unforgiving choices that shaped our fates. Just a little longer, Aiden called, and the weight of time pressed heavier as I held my breath. Dark shadows crept beneath the cracks in the ceiling, their whispers wrapping around reality with every shudder. Closer, you're almost there. My words surged, filling the void between us as he navigated the twisting paths, taking breaths just beneath the collapsing structure. And there it was, glimpses of movement lit the screens, silhouettes of their way through, humanity shedding the darkness that sought to imprison them. Then, silence, an all-consuming stillness stretched tape. Then, as I recalled the faint echoes of Aiden's earlier promising laughter, a flicker of uncertainty racked through me as the quiet enveloped, my fingers hovering nervously over the keys. Aiden, I called into the void, dread looming. Val, his voice rang back, grinding against the edges of hope. We're here. We reached the survivors. Bursts of relief surged through me, warming my insides. Life breathed fresh air and frail light into existence. Moments unfurled, stretching between the currents of chaos as the waves crashed again in violent, erratic rhythms. Can you move? I pressed, still grappling with time swirling like fickle memories. We can, but only if we're quick. The exit is near. Stay with me, he urged. Keeping my eyes on the screens tracking their movements, I recalibrated. Mathematics scrawled frantically through my mind. Beyond the turbulence, I sensed the gravity of decisions unseen, a lucid revelation swirling in the ether. Get everyone in line. A chain, make sure they follow the suits. I'll give you the energy boost to breach. On it. I dove back into the console, fingers racing to bring strength to their path. I'm streaming energy, Aiden, the threshold. The world trembled beneath us, relentless echoes of destruction echoing through the building, swallowing illusions of safety. Yet here, in this threaded connection, I felt anchored. I diverted more energy, granting them clearer routes in the encroaching dark, a safety net woven through vulnerability, firm and near wholly amidst chaos. Then came the shudder of release, a violent wave that crashed against the mechanical constructs as bright lights surged back to life in the depths, pulsing like a heartbeat breathing life into dying systems. Get ready, my voice echoed, growing electric with energy. We're almost there, keep it steady. A sliver of laughter broke the intensity, glimmering with the vulnerability forged through impending loss. Just as I felt another echo hum beneath my fingertips, a powerful presence, something shifted behind me in the doorway of the control room. Dr. Cade, a voice called, slicing through the electric hum, pulling me away. It was Jax, my brother, the shadows cradling him. He stepped forward, covered in soot and dust, fear shimmering in his eyes as he darted to my side. Is it true, the leaks from the arrays? Are we not too late? Against the backdrop of despair, I fought to take in all of it. The fraught urgency of our world weighed against the gravity of him standing here, alive and well. Jax, we need you. Aiden and the others are. He grasped my arm. His voice turned to steel. I came for you, Val. This madness cannot continue. What have we built? Something worth saving. I retorted, clenching my jaw, refusing to yield to doubts swirling, echoing revealing vulnerability in his piercing gaze. In that instant, I felt clarity cut through every voice merging, every heartbeat aligning, as my fears of mortality crashed against the novelty of a future reborn. Your life is entwined with all of this, just as it is with Aiden and Elise. This is not just about science anymore. This is who we are together. A newfound resolve simmered between us, the weight of truth woven into the fabric of our existence, echoing against the moment being. Dr. Cade, Elise shouted as she glanced at the monitors, her face ablaze with worried tenacity. We keep communicating with them. Aiden is almost at the exit. Don't lose the channel, I called, shifting gears as we all dived into motion. In that heartbeat, urgency soared through our collective fabric of existence. I guided Jax toward the console. Will you help optimize the backup? We need to stabilize the power to create a clear path the relays can't breach until we maintain control. The connection pulsed brightly, Jax's presence igniting a fire within me, a unity I had believed shattered. As the weight of good intentions solidified, I felt hope surge back into view. Momentary glimmers bright as distant stars clutched through the veil of despair. Together, we began to work, time pouring forward even amid the fires of chaos surrounding us. I could feel Aiden channeling all his might, leading the survivors toward freedom, the folds of choice drifting closer, weaving the promise of dawn. Bridge it together, Jax. We can hold it, I ordered, jiggling switches like avoiding debris as sparks crackled against the metallic instruments. The console blared, numbers pulsing with life, flashing brighter than the impending darkness. The tension in the air thickened as if the world had suddenly exhaled, a moment of existence honed down to razor's edge clarity. And now, make the connection, I commanded, gritting my teeth as we activated the final settings, our efforts merging as threads through time. The console fractured but held, each panel alive with flickers that surged like morning sunlight breaking through the night sky. Val, we see the extraction point ahead. Aiden's voice resonated within my veins at last, anchoring the turmoil within. Follow the signals. It's clear, go. I inhaled, filling my lungs with flickering warmth as we surged toward the endpoint collectively, the shimmering figures drawing back toward life. In that moment, all existence converged, the potential futures rewoven, each voice striking an intricate symphony ringing through the chaos. We're almost there, Elise yelled triumphantly, as the lights surged within glimmers of our collective hopes. Just a little further, Aiden echoed, determination solidified as shadows lifted away from them. I could feel the world quieting, steel bones giving way to resilience. A testament to our humanity transcending beyond bodies and lives, a beacon escaping the void. In that heartbeat, as the second stretched into eternity, I grasped the hand of the future we forged against the abyss, a pulsing echo reverberating with every heartbeat. Together, we would emerge anew as humanity unveiled before longing eyes. And at that moment's edge, my brother and I united with the beating heart, the dance of existence flickering against the void. Then came the silence, the breath of a world holding fast, every heartbeat aligned with purpose, and I realized we were tethered together, not just through DNA, not just shared sorrow, but through tenacity sown in reckless love against oblivion. The resonance painted a picture against the darkness. Together, I whispered, feeling the weight of eternity behind me. And in that moment, filled with echoes of laughter and solidarity, all paths sublime, the dawn rose over the horizon, unfolding hope anew, transforming the fractures of existence into the fragile web, whispering promises born anew amidst a persistent world. Together we would rise. As the essence of dawn spilled through fragmented walls, illuminating the remnants of our sanctuary, I allowed myself a moment to breathe. Around us, shadows of uncertainty softened, transformed under the embrace of nascent light. The flickers of our survival thrummed loudly in my ears as the pulsating energy of the facility resumed its slow, calculated hum. With each beat, the collective spirit of humanity surged higher, weaving itself anew into the very fabric of existence. Elise knelt beside me, fingers deftly navigating the console as she navigated through the aftershocks of our restoration. Energy readings are stabilizing, she confirmed, the resolve in her voice steadying the elan pulsing beneath my skin. I glanced over at her, the fierce glint in her eyes entwined with a tinge of joy that grew brighter with each passing moment. We had made it through the storms, the winds of destruction replaced by the calm of discovery. Good. We need to keep open channels with Aiden and the team, I urged, squeezing the edge of the console, reminding myself of the connections still tethered between us. A fragile lifeline around invisible edges. We're good on that front, Elise replied with a slight nod, flicking a few switches. The monitors began to illuminate patchy images, muted voices cutting through the persistent static. The survivors were almost at the extraction point. I felt a beautiful, soft swell in the pit of my heart, knowing that soon they would be free again. Now, beneath the debris-riddled control room, the sparks of hope flickered perilously close to blinding. With every passing second, threads we had last known intertwined with possibility. I felt alive, not just to continue our legacy, but to reshape it into something we could all belong to. Are you ready for this? Jack stepped up beside me, his expression both resolute and concerned. It was a strange juxtaposition, one side highlighting the burden we had been tethered to, the other an undying potential. The presence of his spirit lingered, grounding me amidst the chaos. I looked deep into his eyes, searching for affirmation and understanding. I've never been more ready, I said, conviction flowing through me. But it won't just be enough to save our people, Jax. This time we forge a path. We reimagine what's possible. A flicker of uncertainty crossed his face but was swiftly replaced by a surge of determination. Then let's do it, he declared, chest puffing with resolve. Together, we navigated through scattered debris, urgency radiating through our limbs. The gentle hum of the console thrummed with life. The facility transformed from a mausoleum of shattered dreams to a bustling haven of revival and reinvention. Can we enhance our systems? Jax queried, glancing back at Elise, whose fingers danced above the console. Finding a way to ensure this doesn't happen again. I immediately saw it, the strands of resilience woven through progress, rooted in our failures, absolutely. We'll design protocols that encompass not only entropic failures but also the evolution of our systems. This isn't just about surviving, we need to adapt. Elise chimed in, eyes shining like starlight against the rubble. And we can start right now. I've made notes of vulnerabilities. We can reconfigure the entire facility if we put our heads together. The three of us lost ourselves in frantic brainstorming, pulses racing, our thoughts intertwining like luminous threads around a new tapestry, blending brilliance into a canvas unfurling before us. But even amidst this electric atmosphere, shadows whispered warnings of the past as they ghosted across the periphery of our thoughts. I couldn't shake the feelings that accompanied the cycle of destruction, the idea that nothing was truly safe. Val, Aiden's voice crackled back through the speakers, intense and urgent, moments later, his figure flickering on the monitors. We've reached the survivors, they're coming through, but there's a structural failure in the tunnel. You need to stall the breakdown while we get everyone out. Every fiber of my being surged to action. We will protect them, hold on. I shouted back, gripping my hands into fists, reflecting the strength growing within. Just keep moving, count on my signal, moving fast, Aiden replied, urgency thrumming within the lines, but tension held tight over the airwaves, the crackling static almost colluding against our dreams. I turned to Jax and Elise, adrenaline coursing through us, amplifying my determination. Let's reinforce the energy lines, direct the overload to reinforce structural integrity before they proceed. Together, we propelled into action, willing the flickers of life around us to surge with potential. My fingers flew across the console as I recalibrated our energy cores, routing power straight into the tunnel's pathways. I could feel the building vibrating around us, fortifying against the impending chaos. Stabilizing energy flow, Elise shouted, and I trusted her judgments, matching my every command to hers as we responded in tandem. The comms crackled, Aiden's voice edging into clarity. We're almost there. We can see the light. Hold it steady, Val. Whatever you're doing, we're counting on you. He reminded me of a lantern flickering against the dark ocean, and in that moment I felt the world shift again, a gentle rising tide of certainty washing through me. We've got you, I yelled back, unwavering in my conviction. Keep moving. You're all, but the ground heaved again, an intense tremor rippling through the building as if the very earth was shaking in defiance. The lights dimmed, flashing like stars in the night as I fought to retain stability. Elise, I bellowed, a burst of panic anchoring me back to the urgency of our situation. Can we? Almost. Her focus intensified, eyebrows knitting together as she rallied against the fraying currents. Her charging relay stability increasing. It felt like the heartbeat of the building was racing against the ticking clock, and I knew that we were locked in a desperate dance with fate. If we could not stabilize the network fast enough, everything we had fought for would collapse again into utter chaos. Val, not now. Aiden's voice pierced the silence as he fought to find strength among the struggle. A move, I channeled every ounce of my willpower into the console, fingers dancing across the control surface, pouring the last remnants of energy into reinforcing the path. We're holding strong. You just need to get through to the extraction point. Then everything fell into the abyss. The lights flickered one last time before darkness draped the room in shrouded silence. But I felt it, the glimmer of connection wrapping around us, binding us together against the void. I struggled to remain upright, sweat trickling down the back of my neck, uncertainty trailing behind me like specters amidst the ruins. Can you hear me? I pressed, forcing the words out as I felt energy build with each breath. Aiden, come in, are you clear? Silence stretched like a taut wire threatening to snap. Desperation clawed at my insides. I had to remain calm. I had to keep fighting. Finally, the silence fractured. Val, we're losing structural integrity. There's nothing holding us. Aiden's voice cut through the darkness, urgency elevating the stakes high above the tensions that clouded our space. Elise, I shouted, heart pounding with the gravity of the moment. We need to reinforce. We can't lose our connection. Draw from the electrical grid whatever we have left. Working on it. She growled, keying in adjustments frantically, shadows caught behind her focused gaze. It's too late. Aiden's voice echoed again, defeated. We're trapped, you know. The horror rushed through me like a tidal wave, an avalanche of dread, our lives blending and intermingling with the shadows. You have to get everyone out. Val, protect the core, Aiden exclaimed, sparks fluttering in the darkness like fading embers. If we're lost, make sure it doesn't end with us. Moments flashed before my eyes, memories of laughter shared, those stolen kisses beneath moonlit skies, innocence cloaked in ambition. A lifetime spent weaving dreams into existence. And right before me, faced with inevitable tragedy and uncertainty, I made a choice. Jax stood stoically beside me, awaiting direction, and a fierce resolve surged through me as I faced the endless shadows. If I don't emerge from here, you make sure everyone does, I commanded, biting back, emotions rising like fire in my throat. I won't let you, Jax replied, bewildered. No time, hold the fort. You'll do what must be done. Stay in communication. Each life matters more than just ours, never forget. But I could see determination wrapping around him too, amending fragility with fire. Elise grasped the controls beside me, both of us igniting strength as we pulled at energy lines we had laid bare. We won't give up. If you're making the choice to break, Val, we're all in this together. The resolve rippled between us like reinforcement against the foreboding darkness, our spirits intertwined. Then, beneath the weight of my decision, I turned back to the console, knowing deep within the hive of those gathered around me that we were out of time. Hold on. I steadied myself, bracing against the edges of despair, fortifying my resolve. I carved through the crests of dismay, throwing every ounce of energy I had left into keeping our network alive solely for them. A protective embrace layered thicker than the shadows seeking to consume. In the depths of desperation, I began my final task, pulling energy away from the arrays and converting it to emergency power, stretching it past the breaking point to fortify the path through which they would escape. The trembling coalesced into blooming waves, fostering lifelines that would transcend even the mightiest of storms. Through the speakers came whispers of survivors, their voices merging through static, pooling into a melody that felt like a prayer. Val, we're moving. The echoes of Aiden's presence rallied against the tides as I focused in, urging energy through pathways composed of hope, strength filling in every crack of existence. My heart thundered as I aligned the currents, a tempest revitalizing life among waves of destruction, saving the lives of those I loved most. I felt the world shift again, this time almost serenely, the storms brewing amidst the frames of eternity beginning to calm. Everyone's through. Aiden's commanding voice radiated through the chaos, a spark igniting against the darkness that had once dominated. We made it. Confirmation surged amid the waves as I felt hands connect energy, shifting into layers and channels we had sculpted from uncertainty. I met Jax's gaze, emotions pooling without words, and I knew that destiny had aligned our hearts even against immediate loss. In that moment, shadows cast against our regard, dimming hope momentarily. But amidst the wreckage, flickers remained, illuminating the tapestry we crafted, one shimmering around each glimmer of life saved. Can we hold it? I asked, forcing one last pulse of energy through the console, embracing the possibility of continuity amid the wreckage. I can feel stability, Elise chimed, connecting beside me again, fingers tracing alongside mine as we fought back against despair. Good. Let's increase the output. I called back, motioning Jax into action. We'd harness each strand of light flickering around us, breathing life into the air thick with potential as emotional shrouds began to lighten. In chorus, we rallied to action. Jax restored systems, redirecting our energy forward, while Elise stabilized the currents flooding through the console. The three of us forging together through the remnants. The atmosphere lifted, filling the room once more with a gentle hum of positivity, triumph mingling with rejuvenation. Suddenly, the air rang free, a breath restored. The monitors shone bright, colors dancing with energy, thrumming beneath fingertips like hearts unshackled from shadows. And there it was, the final pulse of energy, drawing forth hope intertwined with reality, the promise we had woven, emboldened all around us. Aiden, are you there? A wave of connection surged through as I locked my gaze wide, willing warmth through the channels we had cultivated beneath the chaos. Right here, his voice crackled through. It wrapped itself around me like a melody, effervescent and strong. Can you hear the people cheering? We're resuming contact with HQ. As joy radiated through the air, my chest swelled with warmth, and clarity ignited within my core. The shadows that had once gripped my heart ebbed away, leaving behind the unmistakable pulse of renewal. Keep us connected, and in that moment, beyond the edges of despair, life reaffirmed itself beneath the structures we had bent and molded. Hope cradled within fragile bonds could not be broken. Emergency protocols, energy pathways, and lessons learned dispersed across the chambers of our hopes, drawing upon every fiber woven deep in the tapestry of existence. We had risen from chaos, defeated shadows encroaching into light, weaving a future together that would redefine what remained for humanity. Embracing each moment alive, powerful, and united beneath the firmament, we knew we would face whatever came next reborn anew with strength unending. Endless possibilities waited beyond the horizon, a shimmering dawn of uncharted futures, whispering promises of a universe still waiting for our touch. Together, we would forge onward, fearless, nurturing the bond that defined us amid the stars. We would create a tapestry of connections alive with the heartbeat of fate and blazing hope against the fabric of time. And though darkness may linger in the shadows, the light would always find a way to brighten and bloom, a resilience forged in existence. Always together, always thriving in the embrace of eternity, hope glimmered on the horizon, but it wasn't without its shadows. As we emerged from the chaotic labyrinth of our creation, the weight of what lay ahead loomed heavy. The triumphant return of the survivors had set the gears in motion for a new beginning. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that the storm was not over yet. With every heartbeat, the facility thrummed with a renewed rhythm, a heartbeat that felt like a collective sigh of relief mingled with apprehension. The air buzzed with promises, the very fabric of existence vibrating under the echoes of voices, reunited and lingering in the aftermath of our cataclysm. "Elise," Aiden called, the stress of our previous ordeal still evident in his eyes as he rushed toward us, the energy coursing through him like a high-voltage current. "Have you restored communications with HQ?" "Just about," she replied, fingers flying across the console. The screen flickered, dancing with veils of light as static faded into resolution. "We've got a connection, but it'll take a moment to stabilize the channels." I watched them work, something blooming in the pit of my stomach as I considered the monumental tasks ahead. Destruction had shattered our facilities moments ago, yet we stood as architects of both past and future, tethered now by everything we had survived. "Val," Jax prompted, his voice laced with uncertainty. "What's our next play?" So many thoughts whirled around in my mind, each idea colliding with the other as potential and responsibility swirled through my veins. "We need to analyze what went wrong," I finally replied, stealing a glance at the monitors illuminating the fragmented room. Our abode had transformed into an improvised command center. We need to configure system diagnostics and gather data regarding the events that led to the collapse. Agreed, but not just that. Aiden stepped forward, voice quiet yet commanding. "We have to consider the implications of what we created." The nanite array, their failure wasn't just structural. There's something lurking beneath it, something we didn't understand that turned it against us. "That's what I've been thinking," I said, feeling a chill slide down my spine. We had only scratched the surface of our own ambitions. We've opened Pandora's box with the nanites, and now they pose existential risks. Elise nodded solemnly between us, tension settling into the lines of her features. "The pattern of the failures suggests tampering. Maybe someone influenced the array's behavior." The weight of those words hung pregnant in the air, ominous shadows casting doubts upon us. "You think someone sabotaged our work?" I asked, incredulity mingled with rising concern. "It's possible," Aiden replied, crossing his arms as he considered the implications. "We've always had enemies, those who feared what we could accomplish. And when we stumbled, we left ourselves vulnerable," I finished, freezing the words midair like an incantation. "But who?" "I don't know," Aiden answered, his voice heavy with concern. "But this isn't just about cleaning up our mess anymore. We need to know what we're facing before it's too late." Elise pushed the controls, pulling our diagnostics into focus. "We can analyze the data streams from the malfunctioning nanite array and trace back the roots of the failure. It could provide answers. Meanwhile, we need to fortify our defenses against any potential threats. We can't afford to leave ourselves open again." United by a common purpose, we coalesced around the console, adrenaline surging as we peered into the synthetic universe we had birthed. "Let's pull everything," I instructed, the rhythm steadying beneath my resolve. "We need every report filed, every variable accounted for." The screens erupted in a cascade of data, feeding information into the room like lifeblood coursing through new veins. I could feel a righteous crescendo building, a determination forged beneath chaos as the platforms once sullied by destruction transformed into our armor against the unknown. As the numbers began to align flashing failures alongside unexpected patterns, I felt my heart quicken. There it was, a whisper buried beneath the layers, a rogue identification signature riding the edges. "Val," Jax called abruptly, his face illuminating with urgency. "You need to see this." "What?" My gaze snapped to his, adrenaline propelling me forward. I leaned over the console just as the name flickered into focus. A ghostly figure scrolling through the data. "Who is that?" "It's Rainer Barth. He worked with our team last year, right before the program was put on hold," Jax supplied, eyes narrowing as anger flickered against his brow. He disagreed with our approach, known for voicing extreme views on the implications of our work. It was a harsh departure for him. "Irradical beliefs," Aiden murmured, comprehension dawning. He probably felt that the pursuit of immortality could lead to humanity's downfall, a means to create and control us in a way we never intended. "Control?" I echoed, feeling dread creep beneath my skin. A chill wrapped around my bones. Rainer had always held a deeply ingrained fear of the technology we had designed, the advancement that pushed past moral ethics. What if he's been working to undermine our progress? Then we're facing a formidable enemy, Jax said tightly, his resolve stealing the air from my lungs. And we must act now. He won't stop until he destroys everything we've worked for. Agreed, I affirmed, determination surging within me. But we need to do it strategically. There may be leverage we can pull. The nanite array may hold the key to our safety and combat against him. Aiden straightened, determination blooming in his expression. Then we retrieved the remaining vials from the facility storage. We need to replicate our findings whenever possible. I'll shift resources back to the supply stations, Elise said, her voice igniting the air with energy. We'll also reinforce our security. No one enters or leaves without authentication. Perfect, I breathed, feeling a renewed sense of purpose as we moved in unison, strategizing against the shadows lurking outside. The very essence of our humanity hung in the balance. We would not back down again. And just as we began breaking into our tasks, a sense of foreboding washed over me. Aiden, I added, voice laced with concern, you've been through so much. Can you manage the recovery process while I coordinate the diagnostics? His eyes locked onto mine, a knowing flame flickering between us as clarity sparked something deeper. I will. Together we'll push through. But we find Rainer before this spirals outright. Agreed, I said, steeling myself against the rapid heartbeat thrumming in my chest. Let's get to it. We divided and conquered, casting our efforts into the night as routines set to ensure stability against the threat. As Aiden stepped away, his presence anchored me, reminding me that we were more than our struggles. We were the sum of each battle we fought together. Each person saved had reinforced our fights, their strength entwined in a new narrative that kept hope alive. Hours melted into the haze, our spirits blending with the sounds of the facility, machines whirred to life alongside buoyant voices that skirted through uncertainty, breaking through the remnants of doubt that had lurked beneath. Data streamed around us, illuminating new routes, urging our collective spirit to forge ahead against the encroaching shadows. Then there it was, the remaining data surrounding Rainer, intertwined with moments of brilliance scraped against minute details. But what if he has some backdoor access through the biometrics? Jax asked quietly, reviewing the schematics again. He could infiltrate our systems or sabotage our responses. I felt my blood run cold, eyebrows knitting together. Then we need to void any paths he might maneuver through. Launch protocol lockdown. As the commands resonated through the facility, I found myself taking a steadying breath, praying we were enough to hold back the tide. If Raynor had intended to leverage our work, we had no other recourse but to meet him head on. Yet, even as I focused on our strategy, doubt lingered in the corner of my mind like a gathering storm cloud, stirring unease beneath my heart. Before I could dwell on it further, the alarms blared, red lights flashing across the facility, a frantic chorus of urgency echoing through the air. "What now?" Aiden shouted, rushing back toward us, urgency cutting through the chaos. "They've breached the security lines," Elise exclaimed, shock flooding her features as she swiped the console frantically. "We need to analyze their positioning. Get ready," I ordered, adrenaline racing again as we locked eyes with purpose. The outgoing data flickered in sharp patterns, revealing locations and shadows surging through amidst the connections. This is it. We need to face him head on together. I felt the rhythm pulsing in time with our hearts, each beat marking the path to meet a destiny we could hardly understand. A pivot in our journeys through uncertainty. Regaining momentum, I glanced toward Aiden, illuminated by the light of the screens. This isn't just a battle for survival. "We fight for every life caught in the crossfire," I whispered fiercely. With our resolve renewed and fate entwined, we surged forward, determined to confront the encroaching shadows of our creation, ready to confront Raynor and whatever darkness beckoned just beyond the borders of our newly forged alliance. Together, we would shape our future, no matter the cost. The storm was rising, but so were we, prepared to face the unknown head on. And in that moment we knew. Against the abyss laid an undeniable truth. To be alive was to create, redefine, and illuminate against the vast expanse of eternal possibility. We would rise, together. The facility shuddered, a low growl rumbling through its steel bones as the alarms tore through the air. Access protocol warnings blared, drowning out my thoughts and filling the room with a sense of impending doom. Raynor Barth was here, and he had breached security. "Everyone, to your stations," I commanded, the urgency rising in my voice as we spun into action. The shadow looming over our work was no mere specter. It was a manifestation of our fears made flesh. I glanced at Aiden, whose eyes burned with fierce determination. "We need to ensure the remaining teams are accounted for and evacuated if things get out of hand." "Ready your nan, defenses." "On it," Aiden replied, already rushing to the command console alongside Elise, initiating emergency protocols while I joined Jax, who was monitoring the monitors with intense scrutiny, searching for any sign of Raynor's movement. "Where is he?" I murmured, narrowing my eyes as shadows danced around the screens, flickering signatures indicating breached sections of the facility. "He's using the service tunnels," Jax said, his voice steady despite the tension hanging in the air like a thick fog. "If we don't cut him off now, he could reach the core and shut everything down." I took a deep breath, letting the gravity of our situation seep into me. We had seen the potential consequences of losing control of the nanite array, and now that threat felt visceral. "We can't let him reach the core. We need to devise a plan to intercept him before he can disable our output." Just then, a blaring siren wounded my ears. A warning, unauthorized access detected in Sector C. The voice of the facility's automated system echoed throughout the air, grating with urgency. "Sector C," I shouted, mind racing. That was where the backups were housed. The last line of defense for the facility. "Aiden, you take point with Elise," I instructed, making eye contact with them both. "Jax and I will head through the upper corridor and try to flank from above. We can cut him off." The team matched my resolve, charging into separate tasks with an energy that coursed through our shared determination. As I sprinted alongside Jax down the narrow corridor, I glanced back to see Aiden and Elise program protocols into the assembly. preparing defenses in case Raynor attempted to override our systems on the way. "Do you think he's working with anyone?" Jax asked, breathless as we navigated the slick steel corridors, twisting and turning deeper into the heart of the facility. "I don't know," I replied, focusing my mind on the potential threats we could encounter. "But it doesn't matter. We have to stop him before he destabilizes everything. If anyone could manipulate the system to his advantage, Raynor could." There, Jax gestured to a maintenance access door that led down towards Sector C. "We should head that way," I nodded, taking the lead and kicking the door open. It creaked under the sudden force but held firm. Beyond the door, a dark and winding staircase descended into the depths of the facility. We made our way down in silence, adrenaline pumping through us, the weight of the world growing heavier with every step. "I can't shake the feeling that we're running out of time," I said softly to Jax, casting a worried glance over my shoulder. "Well, we have to make our move first," he replied, his voice steady, exuding a quiet strength that urged me on. "If Raynor gets to the core, everything we've worked for will be laid to waste." With renewed purpose, I rallied my thoughts as we reached the bottom of the staircase. The air felt heavy and electric, charged with uncertainty as we stepped into Sector C. Dim lights flickered, illuminating shadows that coiled around us, providing just enough visibility to reveal warped hallways torn apart during the chaos. "Watch your backs," I whispered, every ounce of focus honed on our surroundings. "Raynor is cunning. He'll use any advantage he can." As we slipped deeper into the abyss, I felt a shift in the air, a whisper of something dangerous lurking in the shadows. "Do you hear that?" Jax asked, drawing closer to me, a sense of alertness coursing in his tense posture. I paused, straining to listen. The echoing futility of quiet engulfed us for a moment, a heavy silence, until a distant clatter broke the stillness. A sound trailing through the air as if something had shifted beyond the walls. "Let's move in that direction." I pointed ahead, feeling the adrenaline rush through me, and we slipped into a run, adrenaline coursing through our veins. Each step felt like a dance with fate, guiding us to our destiny. Around a corner, we finally reached the threshold to Sector C, a vast space peppered with broken remnants of machinery. The dim light painted a chaotic tapestry against the cracked concrete, as dust floated delicately through the air. "It's too quiet," Jax murmured, eyes darting around the room, searching for any sign of movement. Then, as if summoned by my thoughts, a figure stepped from the shadows. Raynor Barth emerged, his silhouette sharp and defining against the backdrop of the tumultuous chaos. "No longer the cautious idealist, are we, Val?" he said, a sneer melting onto his lips. "How quaint to see you here. But you should have known the danger of meddling with things far beyond our understanding. Your little revolution has brought you all to certain doom." Jax and I froze. "Raynor," I said, tightening my grip as I prepared to confront our nemesis. "What have you done?" "Just ensuring that your childish ambitions do not lead to humanity's downfall," he replied, contempt lining his tone. "You have awakened something you cannot control. Once I destabilize this facility, it will be too late for you and your precious friends." As he turned to move deeper into the shadows, I opened my mouth to issue a warning, but before the words escaped, a sudden power surge resonated through the chamber, shaking its walls violently as lights blinked ominously, dimming again and again. "Shut it down," I yelled as the ground quaked beneath us. "We need to stop him." Jax grabbed my arm, the fear in his eyes a mirror of my own. "Val, he's headed for the console. We can't lose him." Then we chase him down. We sprinted after Raynor, regret screaming to be heard behind me as I recalled countless discussions filled with dreams and aspirations tainted by fate. Minding the mistakes of the past, we're all human, I muttered under my breath as I surged ahead, determination igniting my spirit. We would not fail. Together, we would stop him. In the depths of the chaos unfolding around us, I felt the remnants of hope still glimmering overhead, the possibility of redemption dancing like fleeting starlight. Raynor wouldn't win, not today, not ever. We would rise from this storm, and we would emerge transformed. As we rounded another hall, I caught a glimpse of Raynor disappearing through a doorway lined with flickering screens. There, I called to Jax, bounding forward with renewed vigor. "We can't let him reach the mainframe. Stay close," Jax shouted, and we barreled into the room. Familiar chaos greeted us, but Raynor was already maneuvering at the control panel, fingers flying as he worked to access the core. "Raynor," I shouted, pressing forward. "You can't do this." He paused, glancing over his shoulder with a malevolent grin. "Too late," he called, voice dripping with triumph. "Your little utopia will burn. I'll reveal the truth about your work. Humanity deserves to know. Stop it." Jax yelled, lunging forward, but Raynor sidestepped, smirking as he activated the shutdown sequence. The lights began to flash a furious red, alarms shrieking like banshees as the core systems triggered into chaos. "No," I gasped, lunging toward him just as he reached the command to unleash the overload. In that moment, as I neared him, I felt the electric pull of the facility charging around us, lighting a fire within me. "Enough!" I roared and dove forward, grabbing the edge of the console, fingers clawing toward the emergency protocols. "Get away from there!" Raynor shouted, a desperate lurch in his tone as I wrestled against him. "You're too late to stop this, not if I can help it." I grunted, summoning every ounce of strength I had left as I fought against his grip, feebly seeking the override codes in the depths of my mind. Jax surged forward at my side, standing solid in the backdrop, eyes burning with righteous fury. "Val, just a little longer. You can finish this." With my heart pounding, I connected the desperate wiring, clicking commands into place as if aligned by destiny itself. Small victories surged as the lights flickered bright amidst the darkness. "Come on," I grunted. "Activate." Raynor fought against my will, throwing his weight around, frantically attempting to regain control. The two of us wrestled for the fate of everything we had defined, our ambitions woven into the fray of our struggle. His voice twisted low, all his intentions roiling into something hostile. "You don't understand, Val. I'm doing this for your own good. Humanity cannot play God. Enough." I shouted back, pulling myself forward, my fingers screaming against the controls. "You're blinded by your fear. We can evolve. We can make this world better." Suddenly the panels sparked. A flicker. A break. I connected the final wires, and a bright light illuminated the room for a brief moment, a fleeting glimpse at a reality long sought. "Now," I yelled, hoping it was enough. "Activate the safety protocols." The lights surged in rhythm, a powerful wave cascading through our efforts as I conjured hope from the depths. Raynor's shouting drowned in the chaos as the ground shook violently, our electrical web attempting to stabilize even as his plans threatened to descend into nothingness. The core began to stabilize, my mind focused, racing as I fought against him. I leaned into the control panel, pouring everything I had into the final commands, channeling hope and determination until my fingers bled against the keys. "Aiden, Elise, we need backup," I shouted, feeling the intense pull of desperation. "Hold tight." Aiden's voice echoed through the comms, certainty sharpening through chaos. "We're nearly there," but Raynor pulled against my resolve, seeking to break my hold. "Val, don't you see? You are unwittingly forging a weapon. Something beyond your grasp. Then let humanity decide." I challenged, locking eyes with him, the fire ignited in my heart, unwilling to bend beneath the weight of his hate. "I will not let you cast them aside." With one final push, I overrode the commands and locked in the safety protocols. A blinding light burst forth from the core, radiating hope like a sunrise through the darkness, flooding Sector C with vibrant effulgence. "What? No!" Raynor shrieked, fury igniting in his eyes as the power surged around us, pushing him back against the wall. The vortex grew, enveloping the room in brilliance and energy, creating a barrier that encompassed everything we dared to protect. And now together, I shouted into the ether, sending a spark of connection radiating toward the heart of the facility, the energy coursing around us like a second pulse, bonding us together in that storm. An overwhelming sensation, that of life escaping, yet also of potential rising anew. I turned to Jax, staring into the depth of his soul, realizing the awe-inspiring realization dawning across us. We could do this. Let's end this, Jax affirmed, reaching for my hand, our fingers entwining against the chaos, our connection a beacon amidst the darkness. In that moment, as the power surged, I felt the weight of our existence coalesce, spinning and rising together through the space, threads shifting and stitching our narratives into a tapestry of hope, creating something extraordinary. With a final triumphant charge, the force erupted from the core, mingling with the ambient energy throughout the facility. I could feel it swelling, blasting echoes of light through the chambers, a unison forged through every life we had touched in our struggle. And for a brief, beautiful instant, as the light brightened, illuminating every corner of the darkness, I felt a pulse of renewal. The possibility of change, born from our very essence, vibrant against the tapestry of rebellion we had birthed. Raynor staggered back, realization dawning across his features as the facility buzzed in electric rapture, rebounding through time, intertwining our futures in a symphony of existence. Before he could react, the light intensified, capturing him as if enveloped in a celestial embrace. His ambitions begun to break against a force greater than himself. "You misunderstand," I said low, voice steady amidst the transformation. "We are redefining our humanity. Your fears have no place here." With that final proclamation, the brilliance folded into existence, saturating the room, casting aside the shadows. And in the aftermath of turmoil, a broken reality giving life to connection and rebirth, we emerged unbroken, determined, shoulder to shoulder amid the chaos. We would rise together, unyielding in our quest to forge a path that embraced all forms of life, a legacy built upon our mistakes and triumphs, interwoven into the universe's grand tapestry. As the chamber illuminated around us, I turned toward Aiden and Elise, the glow from the core bathing us in soft light. We breathed anew amidst the fragments of fate, ready to face whatever lay ahead, with resilience, with hope, and above all, together. The dawn was upon us, and we knew this was just the beginning. As the luminous glow from the core settled, illuminating the ruins of what had once been our sanctuary, a sense of weightlessness transcended the remnants of turmoil. For the first time since the chaos erupted, there was a palpable calm, an unspoken agreement that bounded us together against uncertainties that lay ahead. We had faced the tempest and emerged renewed, but the tumult was not over. Shadows still lingered, and the future remained unshaped, echoing with the potential of our choices. "Is it over?" Jax asked, his voice barely above a whisper, as if the vibrancy of our surroundings might shatter the fragile peace we had forged. I glanced around the chamber, the remnants of Raynor Barth's sabotage still littering the ground around us. The controls blazed with warnings still echoing through the facility, but we had thwarted his immediate plans. What remained was the hard truth of our reality. "It's only just begun," I replied, a resolute strength settling in my voice as I took a breath, feeling the energy pulsate through the air as if the facility itself were sighing in relief at our decisions. "We need to stabilize the core fully before Raynor can regroup." "All right," Aiden replied, his expression sharpening, already redirected into action. "Let's get to work." Together we moved through the remnant, Elise adjusting the flickering console still alive with messages, while Jax and I synchronized energy readings. Every click and chirp of the machinery sent stitches of hope, intertwined with the remnants of chaos echoing within the depths of the facility. There would always be work to be done, but this felt different, each action powered by resilience, weaving together our struggles into something far more profound than we had ever anticipated. Yet even as we secured the output, whispers of misgivings began to seep through the cracks of our sanctuary. "What if Raynor isn't working alone?" I voiced, breaking the momentary silence, pinpointing the doubt aching in my chest. "There could be others who sympathize with his beliefs. We can't let our guard down yet." Aiden exchanged a glance with Elise and Jax, shadows returning to their features, wrapping around us like a cautionary reminder. He isn't just a rogue element. He's been a part of our lives, and from the shadows, he has friends who share his views, Aiden concluded, the weight of understanding settling on our shoulders. The thought twisted painfully within me. Rayner's motivations ran deeper than mere fear. He saw our pursuit of immortality as a threat, a hubris that could lead to our ruin. We had become the architects of our downfall and the harbingers of our hope. Then we don't just stabilize the core. We plan for every eventuality, Elise said, her voice steady as she regained focus on the monitors. We need to define our course moving forward. Together, we developed a strategy, consolidated defenses, built protocols, and ensured the truths of our intentions were known to those around us. We would not let fear dictate our future. It was in this place we would make our stand against the unknown, armored with knowledge and anchored in one another, reclaiming control over our destinies. As plans unfolded around us, my thoughts wandered to our future, what it might look like if we succeeded. I envisioned a world where the technology we had created worked in harmony with humanity, intersecting with the very essence of life itself instead of undermining it. It was our purpose to ensure that shadowy forces like Rayner could never hold sway over what we stood for again. Hours passed as we plotted, every pulse of the facility revitalizing the atmosphere, infused with renewed flames of determination. I could feel the bonds between us tightening. As our paths reformed, we drew on each other's strengths, fusing hope into tangible realities. Just before we wrapped up our final enhancements, Aiden's comm device crackled to life. We're receiving reports from the survivor teams. They're forming a coalition, a united front against any future threats, he shared, eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. Finally, something positive, Elise said excitedly. We can rally these elements together for protection until our defenses are fully operational. The flicker of hope surged within me. We'll reach out to them, ensure they know our intentions. It's time to build bridges instead of walls. But before we could make our movements, the alarms suddenly blared again. Metal whirred violently, accompanied by shouts ricocheting through the hallways. Report, I demanded, adrenaline thrumming through me once more. Elise, check the outer security cameras. Jax instructed, urgency brimming through his voice. No, Elise exclaimed as she rifled through screens, concern flooding her features. It's worse than we thought. They're coming from all sides, multiple intrusions. They're not just Rayner's people. It's a full-scale attack, Aiden added, panic pulling at the edges of reality. They've initiated a lockdown procedure. The knowledge sent fear flooding through me, but with it came clarity. This was the moment we had anticipated. The reckoning we had prepared for long before. We had faced the darkness of our ambitions. Now we would rise and lead the fight against it. Activate the defenses, I roared, locking eyes with each of my friends, sharing a determination that brewed within our hearts. We won't let them breach our sanctuary. Together we will hold this ground. And as the intercom rang with impending clashes clattering through the facility, we reinforced our defenses, arming ourselves with the strength of unity. This was no longer about singular ambitions or dreams. It was about life. It was about protecting the future we envisioned, a bond that transcended the shadows seeking to tear us apart. Even amid the cacophony, I sensed a shift as we grasped hands and absorbed the energy swirling around us. It fused upon our fingertips, a vibrant pulse of God-given strength. Whatever happens, we do this together, Aiden murmured, his voice solid and unwavering. Always, Jax affirmed quietly beside me. And with that, we launched into full combat mode, harnessing the fierce winds of fate and hope. Drawn together against an unseen storm, ready to face whatever arcane threats hounded our sanctuary. The door trembled, banging violently with the weight of the encroaching darkness, and I could hear the distant shouts and conflict nearing through the hallways. As I stood shoulder to shoulder with the very friendships that had shaped my world, fear sparked into determined fury, the very soul of humanity igniting beneath our feet. Let them come, I declared, voice steady and resonant. We are here to safeguard what matters most. This is our moment to show the world what true unity can achieve. This is our home, stronger together. The door burst open, shapes flooding into the chamber. Shadows danced against light as conflict erupted in a whirlwind of sound. And as the battle began, the facility thundered, alive with the pulse of every heartbeat echoing chase. Each roar and strike was a testament to our resolve, a story yet to be fully written, an odyssey with beginnings nestled within shared struggles and triumphs. Together, we would stand against the ebb of fear, forging our path against the darkness that sought to consume our existence. Fate had intertwined our destinies, and today we would reclaim all that we hold dear. The dawn was breaking, revitalized hope surged through us. Its light was our shield. And together, we charged forth, unyielding. In the moments that followed, we fought not just to survive, but to reclaim our narrative, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, shining bright against adversity, even as the storm raged outside. The world was in chaos, but it could never extinguish the light we ignited together. As our hearts united, our essence shimmered, an indomitable force rising against the tide of darkness. In the story of humanity, here we stood, boldly preparing to shape a new future, one that could flourish in the embrace of hope. Together, we would write our legacy anew, our light guiding us into the unfathomable horizon.